Siamo il GIAN, gruppo italiano Amici della Natura, parte del movimento internazionale Nature Friend International, attivo in oltre 40 paesi per promuovere la giustizia climatica, sociale e la connessione tra persone e ambiente.
Benvenuti sul podcast di Ecocowala. Oggi abbiamo con noi gli amici di Cabezo Santo, associazione che collabora al progetto Ecocowala. Ciao Denise.
Ciao Lorenzo. Background in agriculture, education and ecology. In the past he worked on ecotourism and now on heritage interpretation. We have with us Pedro Morais.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
Very well.
French-based Portugal, part of Cabezo Santo since 3 years. He works in the association as a European project manager. Here with us, Mathieu de Santos.
Hi, hello.
Okay, so we can start with the first question. The topic of your project is the exploration of transformative education in an environmental context. Can you try to define it?
Yes, I will try to define. It's not very easy to define transformative education, but we can say that because we can say that all kinds of education must be at least a little transformative, and we can talk about transformative basically in two different aspects. The first one is that education must transform the person who are the target of that education. And then other aspects that are also very important is the possibility that the education can make real transformations in our world. So I think it's very difficult someone to make a transformation in world if before have not been transformed itself. So maybe this is the two aspects that are the main importance to define the transformative education. It's for this in this context, it is very important that the education program, the education element must do some effect in terms of the emotions of the person, because it is very important to use the emotions to have a strong effect of education in itself. Is sometimes, and we know in our days, sometimes everyone, including I think ourselves, know that something is not good for the world, for ourselves, for the ecosystems, but we are contributing for this problem with small actions that we are not perfect. And so the way that we can change how much possible in ourselves is to use not only the mental aspects, but also the emotions that will make a strong result of the education. Maybe this is the main aspects. I don't know if Mathieu can add something more about this idea of transformative education.
I think you have bring the main shape and the main ideas of what can be inside that idea of transformative education. I just would add that to work on these emotional aspects, we promote the experience as a central point for the people, be more near to their emotion, on the way that if we do a versus comparison between conventional education and transformative education, okay, the conventional education will mainly pass through mental reflection and some intellectual inputs, and in that that exploration we are doing, we try to put the people in situation and make them more aware of how they feel, so they can grow also inside of us on the emotional parts. So there's always a part that is linked to emotional education. So you can identify your emotion, and so you can talk about that. You are able to put words on, and after, okay, you are able to describe what is happening through this process of experience. Yeah, that's what I would to add. I don't know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Does planting more trees automatically means more forest? How can we be truly more careful? How can we be truly more careful in forest management?
Okay, I like that question because I think it's really an actual one, because we can see lots of forest projects and tree plantation around the world in many company project and international founding, and that kind of, that's mainly or some of, I would say, are a bit greenwashing, in the fact that trees are planted but there's no management after, and also there are some missing reflection to me. This missing reflection is a bit around, okay, the forest is a kind of the last stage of vegetation succession. Okay, so when we plant tree on a desert, we do not consider the process of the nature itself, because we missed all the stratification of herbs, shrubs, that are essential for water conservation. And that's why I do not really trust in a pure and a raw planting tree. Okay, we go there, we reforest on a it's a kind of brutal way, and that brutality is not really aligned on nature law. So that's why it's needing lots of energy behind that kind of plantation, and lots of management of watering, be present for the tree are not dying. So that's why I don't really trust this process, and I try to promote that observation and this process about natural succession and vegetal succession. So we should first, if you have a desert, okay, first seed some herbs, some graminae, and after introduce other plants, and after introduce some shrub, and so you will be from what we define in syntropic agriculture, the colonization state, and step by step you will pass in accumulation state, so you have more shrub, more little trees, and once the dynamic between all that species is a kind of a growing vortex somewhere, you will rise to the climax and to the accumulation stage. But the place of the human to take care of that dynamic is really not the same that the energy you have to involve if you just plant tree. Okay, and so if you respect the nature flow, the human also will meet a forgotten place for the human in relation with the forest. We are always in a kind of differentiation of separation between human and nature. Okay, but I think this is really an intellectual mistake to consider stuff like that, and by respecting the different stage of nature, from colonization to climax forest, okay, we will meet again a fair place for the human in the forest and in nature.
Okay, so for that, as you say in your handbook, was it important to remember that it's soil and not dirt?
Yes, this is very interesting, this question of soil, because for almost people, soil is something that almost doesn't exist in the first thinking, and it's something that is not useful for almost nothing. The value of the soil for almost of people is almost nothing, but in fact is just the opposite of that in reality, because soil is very important to have vegetation, to have plants, and plants are the base of the surviving of all animals, including the humans. So soil is very important for many reasons, not only to fix plants, but also because, for example, almost the biggest number of living beings in Earth are inside of the soil, not outside of the soil. So this transformation that we need to understand what is soil, because soil is not only dust, is not only, if we can say, clay, small pieces of soil that can fly with the wind, but soil is also the house of lots of animals, or the biological network that is very important for all the ecosystems. So it is also a chemical process that is very slow. In some places, to form 1 centimeter of soil, we need 1 century of years, 100 of years, to accumulate 1 centimeter of soil. But in other process, erosion, we can have a process of erosion that in 1 year we can lose 1 centimeter of soil. So it is very dangerous for our surviving and for surviving of all beings in our planet. So we need to change this idea of soil that is only dust, only something dirt, but something very important for all the living beings in our planet, and we need to be much more careful about the soil in our planet. So soil is something very important that we must pay much more attention, and of course related with the forest. The forest is a place where the soil can be protected, and it's very useful to have trees that are very important for the renovation of our oxygen, because the production of oxygen in Earth is made by plants, and plants are almost of them in soil. So this relation is very direct with ourselves, and it's very important to think about that.
How can we teach children to get in touch with nature, and how can we learn sensitivity?
First of all, I think you are talking about sensitivity to nature, or sensitivity in general.
Yes, to nature.
To nature. Yeah, first of all, I think we have to consider where people grow, child grow, and did they really have a contact with nature, so they are able to measure how it can be something really nice for their mental health, for their well-being. So I think that education first passes through being in nature. I don't think we really can teach what is nature in a classroom, you know. I know science course are describing, what are trees, what is the science of life, but I think we miss a lot to be in the field and to take children with us in the forest, in the river, and away from okay, discovering the process of how it works, I think can bring a kind of a magic, you know, of in an understanding about, okay, wow, it's like that, it's so complex, it's so perfect on a way, you know. So by bringing a kind of fascination, I think we bring also a kind of sensitivity. But to link that to our previous topics, I think through the emotional parts, okay, that's where we will get the sensitivity link, bridge. So it's also, okay, helping the children to realize how do they feel in nature. What is different here that you don't have in the city? Is your mind is more calm? Do you feel more peacefulness, you know? Or
Very different.
yeah, and I think by realizing that, yeah, we are raising the sensitivity to nature for the children. I don't know, Pedro,
Yes,
if you have some
I
other.
can add an example because it is very important in this to create this sensitivity, to have experiences that Mathieu talked about, the need in transformative education to have a very very important part of experiences, and it is necessary to give them experiences that they can compare with the experience that have in the life, for example, in the cities. And I would like to give an example that is a very, very small animal that is called tardigrade or water bear. And this animal have superpowers, more superpowers than the superheroes that we are used to know from the television, from the stories. And it is possible for children to see these animals, to be very close, to understand that these animals are everywhere, and they are studied. It is not by fictional, it's real. NASA is studying these animals to understand their properties, to try to have, for example, because we can put these animals in the freezer, and then they become alive after 2 or 3 years in the freezer, or we can put in a dry place and they become dry for 10 years, and then we put in water, and then they will continue to live. So
Oh, really? I didn't know.
yes, this is a superpower that they have, and of course NASA would like to put these superpowers in ourselves. So this is an example of something that could change the mind of the children about something that is not fictional, but something that is real. And this is nature. This is the importance of nature, and this is the fantastic world of nature that we can see in every place where there are a natural environment. So this is an example that we can use to transform the minds of the young people, and to put them aware of the big importance of nature and the environment, that they need to be aware to make some kind of protection measures in the future. I think it's a good example to add about this point, that is of course very difficult in our context to touch the emotions of the children. It's not an easy process, and it's not easy to do this.
Yes, great words, and thank you for the answer. It's a curious answer. So let's do the final question, if you want. How and why eco-activism is important our nowadays context?
Yes, in our days we have lots of environmental problems. We have a context with so many and so complex problems that is necessary that is necessary bigger effort of everyone to solve our problems, our actual problems and our future problems. So it is very important to have people that are available to discuss these problems, to discuss the solutions, and to have some kind of protest against some measures that for different reasons government enterprises and other stakeholders that can have against the interest of the nature. So it is important to have this kind of protests, this kind of decisions and actions that can promote a broad discussion in our society related with problems that for many people are not aware of them, aware of that the importance of that problems and the relation of that problems with our lives, because for many people environmental problems are very far, because I'm not living in nature, I'm living in a city, I don't care about environmental problems. But of course the water that everyone drinks comes from nature, the food comes from nature, and there are lots of problems, for example health problems that are increasing each time more, and some of the reasons for that problems is, for example, the contamination that we are doing in almost ecosystems. For example, the microplastics now they are discovering that are everywhere. So we cannot have ways to take the plastics from the ecosystems, but is in our hands to decide if we are contributing more or less for this problem. And if we cannot finish the use of plastics from one day to the other, we can reduce the use of plastics. And this is in our hands. But it's necessary. We cannot wait for the enterprises that are making plastics to have these campaigns for everyone. No, it is necessary to have some activism to give an idea about what is important to do and what we can do about our decisions and about the decisions that are more adequate or less adequate, for example, for the industrial development of some areas. So this is some of the reasons because eco-activism is so important, and is also important for an educational reason that is necessary for people to discuss, to reflect, and to get more information about all of this.
So thank you, Mathieu and Pedro, for being here with us and for introducing us your point of view.
Yeah, thank you for your question. It was really interesting to explore together these topics. Thank you.
Yes, it was a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Allora, grazie amici di Cabezo Santo. Allora, ciao Lorenzo, ciao Pedro, ciao Mathieu.
Ciao a tutti.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Alla prossima.
Ciao.
Bye bye.